Welcome back. This is part 7 of a character UV mapping tutorial series. The last several videos we have unfolded all of the UV forms of the character's body and everything that we needed for the body for the final UV set. And we refined the UVs with some extra tools. We made sure there's no overlapping UVs. And the last thing we need to do is just combine and move everything into the same UV quadrant. So each one of these outer squares is a UV quadrant. That's assigned 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and so forth. Now the only one that matters for export is 0 to 1, and we're going to have one UV set, which means one texture set for the entire character. So all the UVs need to be inside the 0 to 1 UV space. So we're going to need to move all the UVs and scale them as large as we can within this UV space to maximize the amount of texture quality that we can get in our texturing program. So I have 3 different objects, the body and then the left and right eye. So in order to see all those UVs at the same time, just drag select on all of your objects that you've unfolded. So that way we can see all of those UVs without having to combine everything. I keep everything separate, so my 2 eye objects are separate. I'm not going to combine Boolean or anything like that. They're all separate objects as shown in the outliner. But I can at least easily see the UVs together by just drag selecting all the objects. So what I'm going to do is start compacting all of my UVs into this 1 0 to 1 UV space. We always want to have a good amount of space for the head because we always look at that more. So I would say, about 1/4 of the UV map should be the head. So I usually start there, move that over to a corner, and then I'll go look at how large my other UVs are or that they need to be. So my torso and my legs are the next largest objects on my character. So I want to make sure they are large enough within the UV space. So I think that right there is pretty good for my torso. I want to move the legs in, cram them in as large as I can, and then we'll cram in our arms because those are our next largest forms. So we'll see what we can do here. Okay, turn off symmetry. I don't think that's going to fit there, so we might need to turn this one horizontally. Kind of move that in. That's not really going to work there as well. So what we might need to do is just drag select everything and scale everything down just a little bit. Okay. Something else that is important is a uniform checker pattern size throughout the entire character. So right now the head has more definition, the smaller UV checker pattern. We have the higher resolution of detail it's going to be. The feet are much larger, so we need to scale those up. But the rest of the body looks pretty good overall. So we do want to make sure we do have a consistent UV size. Kind of move the head down. Kind of try to cram our arms. It'd always be better if like my arms can be side by side. So see what we can do to get those arms, or at least positioned in a similar way so that the arms are both going to be vertical. And we'll kind of move that one up. There, maybe this one can be lower, right there. We just can't have overlapping, so as long as they're close. What we can't have are UV shells that are overlapping. So we'll see what we can do to kind of take our head, move it over a little bit. Okay, I don't know what else we can do. Let's come up here and move this up some. That'll give us plenty of room. There we go. So we'll move that up. Then now this can move back over here. There we go. All right, that looks pretty good. All right, so our pants are there. We need to cram our feet, and our feet actually need to be a little larger. So let's go look at our checker box. There we go. That's getting to be pretty good there. And then we just need to cram these in along with our eyes and our eye sockets and mouth. So our eye sockets maybe could be a little bigger. Our mouth probably a little smaller. And then our eyeballs. So I'm gonna leave my eyeballs, relatively big, so that way I can get some good textural detail there. But my feet need to get crammed in here, so let's just go ahead and move these over here. I typically like to just to make sure I know what foot's what. So I like to say, okay, I know that's my left foot, and then my right foot can go like right there, something like that. All right, so now I just need to move these other smaller pieces. There's my mouth. Okay, and then this will be my 2 eyes. All right, So the goal is just to cram these in here as large as you can. That looks like a good spot for the eye sockets. And then there's my eyeballs there. Let's go take a look at the checker pattern again. Pretty good consistent shape. For those UVs, still pretty good. Let's look at the feet. I mean the hands, yep, so they're pretty good size. My head's gonna have smaller UVs, so that's pretty good. My eyeballs are about the same size as my head, so that's pretty good as well. All right, so that's a pretty good setup to kind of compact all of my UVs into the proper 0 to 1 UV quadrant. The last thing I want to do is just make sure there is no overlapping UVs anywhere. Pretty good. And then now I'm ready to export this out as an OBJ to a texture tool for proper texture creation. So I'll wrap up the UV mapping video series here of how to unfold the various body parts, how to use some of the UV mapping tools and subtools, then how to pack all the UVs into the 0 to 1 UV quadrant for proper UV mapping.